welcome back to the dark. Scott Swenson here with a Scott in the Dark, and this is a unique show. So this show is being recorded the week before the Trans World Halloween, Christmas, and Escape Room show. And for those of you who've been listening for a while, know that I have been, I will quite regularly do a show where I record segments at the trade show. And I've done that for several trade shows in the past, but I always try to do it for Trans World because, let's face it, that's the big boy right now, or big girl or big person. I don't want to be gender specific, but I decided as I'm doing my final prep to get ready to go, this year it's been a little bit different because I'm working like right before and right after. So I have to kind of plan a little bit more ahead. And I thought maybe I should do a show that would be about planning for trade shows, planning for shows like Trans World or any of the other ones that are out there. And so this show is all about the things that you need to know if you've, never gone before, or even if you have gone before, you may sit there and go, that's a good idea. Why didn't I think of that sooner? But the idea here is just to kind of give sort of a prep so that people can understand, a little bit more about what to expect of the show if they've never been, and maybe ways to get more out of the show if they've been in the past. I think the first thing we have to address is, why are you going to the show? I mean, with me, I go because it is an important part of my business. I do, I do a lot of networking while I'm there. I have done a booth there before, and of course, being part of the Haunted Attraction Network, I will be at a booth again this year. So, I've got the whole business side of it. I also want to see, for my clients, what is out there. I need to be aware of what's going on in the industry and what the new stuff is. And so I need to see the products. And then I won't lie. There is a strong social component as well, because let's face it, trade shows are fun, and especially haunt trade shows and Christmas trade shows and escape room trade shows. And it's just a great opportunity to meet with people who have similar interests, who have who are in the industry, and it gives you a chance to sort of get together and hang out with them. So I guess you have to kind of figure out what it is, what you want to accomplish. So for example, if you are a vendor and you have a booth at the show, make sure, the first thing I will tell you what I forgot when I was a vendor. I was also a speaker that year. And what I forgot was, hey, who's going to cover my booth when I'm not there? So if you are a small vendor, especially, make sure that you have booth coverage scheduled for the entire run of the show, because it never fails. The moment you don't have somebody there is when the biggest, most important potential client comes by. So please, work that out. Usually people in the industry are very willing to help out. I was lucky. I was able to just kind of find some friends who weren't doing anything and who weren't coming to my seminars, and I forgave them because they looked after my booth while I was gone. But that's probably the first thing to remember. Another thing to remember is, if you have never done a booth before, you will be talking more than you're used to. So make sure you stay hydrated, and make sure you have some sort of lozenges or something to keep your throat going. And when we get into the social side, you'll understand why I say stay hydrated, because there is some partying. I know it's hard to believe, but there is actually some partying that goes on at haunt trade shows. What a shocker. Who would have known? Also, I think it's important to make certain, if you are a vendor and you do have a booth, I think if you're going to get the most out of it, make sure you have ways for people to contact you. I'm kind of shifting away from business cards right now. I'm moving more towards, I have a QR code that basically just puts me into people's contacts. So I do have business cards for those people who still like to collect the paper stuff, but I also have a QR code on my phone that people can just scan and hit 2 buttons and I'm in their contacts. There's a couple of different companies out there that do that. There's also companies out there that have wristbands that you can just like Disney's smart bands that you can tap your phone to and make connections, or they're black cards. They're like credit cards that do the same thing, and then they have a QR code on the back just in case somebody doesn't have the high technology to be able to tap and take, as I call it. But however you're sharing your information, make sure that you have enough ways to communicate. I mean, for example, this is my business card now. That's one side, which has the old-fashioned stuff on it, and then the other side is this QR code. So if you're watching the video, you can actually see what I'm talking about. And if I hold it still enough, you might even be able to capture my information and put it in your phone. But like I said, I have this in card form. I have it also on my phone. And then I even had a little badge, a little pin made up that actually has the same information. Also, if you're a vendor, make sure that you have enough of your promotional material. And if you don't want to, print it all up, again, QR codes are a pretty decent idea if you want somebody to go to your website or whatever. And even though it's, less than a week out, it's still something you can get done. In fact, it's easier to get a QR code made that leads to your website than it is to print up additional brochures. The nice thing is it also drives people to your website. And I will say, as a buyer, I have stopped picking up almost everything unless it's really, really cool, because I don't want to take it all home. And I fly to and from most of these shows because there aren't many in Florida. The only one I drive to is actually IAAPA, which is the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions Expo, because it's in Orlando. But everything else I have to fly to. And for years, I was always trying to fly back and shove my suitcase full of pounds and pounds and pounds of paper and brochures and stuff like that. So, you might be able to even save some bucks if you think about offering a QR code for those guests who don't want to take all the paper and all the printed stuff and all the price lists, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But again, make sure you have enough of it and enough different varieties of it so that people can take your information home. This is a weird little thing, and there are people who will disagree with me on this. Actually, there's people who disagree with me on everything I say on the show, which is completely fine. I'm just sharing my perspective. I've been at this for years, and this is the way I look at it. It's not the way everybody looks at it, and I totally get that. But this is a suggestion that I make. If you are a vendor, find a way to always be branded. I know some vendors who will wear outlandish suits through the entire run of the trade show, so that everybody notices them when they're at their booth, when they're walking the trade show floor, when they're at events and functions. They are constantly visible and recognizable. If you're not that much of an extrovert, make sure that you at least have your some sort of logo or branded color scheme. I will tell you, those of you who've been to this event before, for the haunt side, people are wearing black. So if you're wearing a black t-shirt, or you have a black logo, or you have a black jacket, you will most likely blend in with everybody else. And if you're a vendor and you want to be recognized and remembered, you probably want to do the opposite. You probably want to stand out. Now, at this late date, I'm not saying change all of your wardrobe. What I am saying is I will share with you a trick that was used for years when I went to these mass auditions for actors. The Southeastern Theater Conference, that is a huge mass audition for young performers, where you will see, I used to go there with the theme parks, and we'd see like 2,000 people over 3 days. It was overwhelming. But what some of the smart kids did is they would pick a color that they would wear the entire weekend, so that every time we saw them in their audition, walking around at callbacks, they would always be wearing the same color. And we automatically said, ooh, there's the kid in teal that we really liked. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was really, really smart. So you can do the same thing as a vendor. You can make sure that you always have something branded on. You know, my friends used to make fun of me when I was still working for Busch Gardens in Tampa. Is every single moment of the day for the trade show, I had something that said either Busch Gardens or Hollow Scream or something like that. I had some piece of clothing that said that because, again, I wanted to be identifiable as that buyer. Now that I have my own company, I am always wearing, you know, pins, and in fact, I just had new pins. Let me see if I have one here. I had new pins made up for the trade show with my logo, and it's just to make sure that I always have one. But they're simple little pins that look like that. And if you're watching the video, if not, it's just my logo, which you've seen pretty much everywhere. Just to make sure that I can always have one on my lanyard, my lapel, whatever. It's a more subtle way of doing it, but then everybody can look at it and go, "Oh, you're the guy with the light bulb logo. I remember you." I get that a lot, actually. They don't remember who I am or what I do, but they remember the light bulb logo. So, you know, thanks to my amazing designers who did that. Anyway, but that's just stay branded. Stay branded so you can stay recognized. That's the piece of advice that I give to every vendor. And, you know, if you have some sort of giveaway, as so many vendors do, if you have some sort of giveaway, whether it's a pin or whether it's a bag or it's a pen, not a pin, but a pen that has your name on it, or a squishy or something, I don't know, something, whatever. I strongly recommend that you think about the purpose of those giveaways. You know, the lanyards are pretty much provided. Those are usually locked up by a sponsor vendor, which I totally get. So unless you're giving away lanyards that are cooler than what the sponsor lanyard looks like, don't expect anybody to see them. Because let's face it, giveaways are not just about letting the person who picks them up remember who you are. It's also a way of, every time they use that, it represents you to other people. I have an example here of what I thought was a really cool Busch Gardens giveaway, because it's a pen, but it's an orange pen that says Busch Gardens on it. And if you just look at this part of the pen, and I'm covering up the top here for those of you who aren't able to watch, the pen itself looks pretty normal, and the Busch Gardens is very, very small. However, what they did was they made the top of the pen a tiger shape. And this was a promotion for the Tigris roller coaster. And the top of the pen is bent to look like a tiger, and it's black and orange striped. So you have a black and orange pen with a black Busch Gardens logo on it, and then the top of it is a very obnoxious tiger shape that is tiger striped. So while you're writing with it, it actually draws attention to the pen, and people go, "Where did you get that pen?" And you go, "Oh, it's Busch Gardens." Well, you've automatically then doubled the impact of your giveaway, because now the person who picked it up understands what it is, and the person that saw them writing with it knows what it is. So another example that I saw that I think worked really, really well. A lot of places give out bags to hold the various paperwork that I'm trying desperately to get people to get rid of. But they have those bags, and there are sponsor bags, and there are, you know, multiple different vendors that have bags and have created bags over the years. One of the cleverest ones I saw was actually at IAAPA Expo last year. And one company, and if you were at IAAPA, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, did an oversized orange bag. It was gigantic. It was like walking with a billboard. And the people who had them, everybody was like, "That is so cool. It holds everything." It really didn't. They just got too heavy. But people who were carrying them around were just advertising for that vendor everywhere they went. So keep that in mind if you're doing a giveaway. What does it do for the person who picks it up, and will it be commented on by people who see it? It's kind of a double duty thing. What he said, duty. I'm so tired. Sorry. But anyway, it's a double duty thing, and will help you out a bit more. Again, probably too late to change them now, but just think about it for upcoming shows, and especially Trans World, because Everybody likes big pickup, cool stuff. Something you may be able to do at this late date, if you haven't done it already, is find some way to make your booth interactive. Find some way to make it so that guests do things at your booth. Whether that is a photo op that has your logo in it, or whether that is a QR code, something as basic as a QR code that they come up and scan and it takes them somewhere to get more information, or because it's way too easy at any trade show to walk up and down the aisles and become numb to it. Just kind of, blur out those booths. And keep in mind, you are competing with other vendors, and not competing with them for money, but competing with them for attention. You've got to get the attention of the people walking through. And in many cases, like say for example, mask manufacturers. There are going to be plenty of mask manufacturer vendors, I'm sure, at Transworld. And so what can you do as mask manufacturer A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, or L? What can you do to make your booth seem so much different than the other mask booths? A couple of things I like to suggest is, again, do a photo op. Secondly, think vertically, think going up, because keep in mind that, okay, I'm 6'4". If I'm standing in front of your booth, there's a whole section that people can't see because I'm tall. So if you have a way of making your logo or your product visible above where people are standing, assume people will be standing in front of your booth. Make sure that there are things to be seen above their heads. One thing I do not recommend, just because it becomes very distracting, is making things that are consistently too noisy. If you have something that goes off every now and then, fine, gets the attention, great. There's always a vendor who has that at every single certainly haunt trade show I've ever been to. But I will say, one of the years that I had a booth, that vendor, or one of those vendors, was immediately behind me. And instead of it just going off randomly every now and then, it went on quite regularly. And I had to spend a lot of time kind of yelling over it. And, it didn't bother me that much because I'm used to talking a lot. What it did, though, is it made the people who were trying to talk to me a little bit miffed about the vendor behind me. So just keep that in mind, be courteous. And I think the most important rule to follow as a vendor is to follow the rules. Make sure that, you are following the rules that are laid out by the trade show, and they're very clear. They're in your contract. They're all the things that you signed, and they're basic common sense. Just read through the rules and make sure you follow them. So that's my vendor suggestions. If you are a participant and you're going there as a buyer, or just for the social purposes, well, we'll get to social in just a minute. If you're going there as a buyer, so that you own a haunt, or and when I say buyer, that's not necessarily just a buyer of hard goods. That's also the consumers who are taking part in the seminars, which to me, at my point in my career, that's probably the most important reason to go. And I'm not saying that just because I'm a speaker this year, but I think it's the most important reason to go, is to share new information, and to learn new information, and learn from people who have different perspectives from you in the industry. See what you can discover from them. So if you're going as a consumer, or as a buyer, I think the most important thing you can do is set your goals. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? I always like to have my designs done for multiple clients before I go, because then, even though I'm not necessarily the one who is going to sign the purchase order, I can go back to, what do I have? 5 6 Halloween clients this year. And I can go back to them and say, okay, I know what your theme is. It's this, and I saw this product from this vendor at the show. I got to pick it up. I got to hold it. It was really cool. I strongly recommend that you purchase it. If you've got your concepts that are ready to go, set out your goals and say, I'm going to purchase I'm going to make this up. I'm going to purchase a giant bat mask, and I need an animation that can be used in a circus room, and um, I need 3 new lighting fixtures that are RGB changeable, and they're going to go here. So set your goal so you just don't end up wandering the trade show floor aimlessly. The other thing I'm going to suggest is look at, don't just stick to one section of the show floor, because the 3 shows are co-located. If you are a haunter, take some time to go and walk through the escape room stuff, and also the Christmas stuff, because with a lighting fixture, the only people who know it's a Christmas light are the people who install it. The light itself does not identify as Christmas. It can be utilized quite often. You can find things in the Christmas side that can be utilized in the haunt side, and vice versa. Obviously, that's less true with props, but certainly with lighting and audio. So take a wander through. Be open-minded. And again, I'm not just saying that because I'm teaching seminars on both sides. What I'm saying is, it really does benefit you. It opens your mind, and it also is kind of a palate cleanser. So all of a sudden, all of the masks don't look alike, or all the costumes don't look alike, because they're not. But you just kind of become overwhelmed. The other thing that I think is important is to plan, but don't overplan. And I know it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but understand what your goals are, make a plan to accomplish them, but then also leave some time to just go with the flow, to just follow the crowd. Because you will meet people there. You will see people that you haven't seen in a while. Something will pop up and you'll be like, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. Let me go do that. And if you're too locked into your schedule, then you run the risk of missing out on some great spontaneous stuff that always happens. So just you may pick a night or an afternoon or a morning, because let's face it, it is a 24-hour experience, especially on the social side, that you don't have anything planned, that you just decide, well, I'm going to see where that takes me. And that's quite often what I've discovered. That's when the most memorable things happen. Those of you who have known me know that one of my dearest friends from Busch Gardens, Robbie Lepre, who unfortunately has passed, but Robbie knew everybody and everybody knew Robbie in the haunt industry. And I used to just say, okay, I'm going to pencil in this time where I'm going to do whatever Robbie wants to do, because she would always find the coolest parties, the coolest people to have dinner with. And we all have friends like this, right? They just kind of know everybody and they know the cool people to hang out with. So allow for some spontaneity. That's the point. Allow for some spontaneity in your schedule. Book the specific seminars you want to see, book the specific parties you want to go to, but keep some flexibility and some open space in there so that you can decide, let's go follow our new friends that we just met and see what they're up to. I think that well, let's move on to social. Let's move on to the social side. I know I mentioned it earlier. There is occasionally some partying that goes on at these conventions. Occasionally, who knows? It may not happen this year, right? But I'm going to sound like your parents. And I'm going to say, just be careful, because I have talked to people after trade shows who are like, I so badly wanted to do this, but I was so hungover, I just couldn't do it. So know your limits. Stay hydrated, be healthy. All right. Enough of being the old guy, enough of being everybody's mom. Have a good time. Have a really good time. Plan time for transportation. I will say that, quite often there is a specific hotel that always has a big party going on in the lobby, and it goes on into the wee hours of the morning. So whenever you're just looking for someone to talk to who wants to talk about zombies, dead things, and fake blood, you have a place to go. But also make sure that you have the ability to get back to your hotel room, whether that is Uber, which is our friend, or you have the appropriate clothing. In this particular show, St. Louis, the weather is very unpredictable, and it looks like it's going to be pretty mild this year, 2022. But if you're from Florida, when it gets down into the 40s at night, it's still going to be cold. So I have to make sure I bring the appropriate clothing, pack in layers. I also think the most important thing to remember, and I have very rarely seen a problem with this, but it does rear its ugly head occasionally, and that is be nice. The haunt industry is filled with people who are really cool, people who are really fun. And when people get tired or people get stressed or people get overwhelmed, they forget that we're all in this together. I realize that there are competing haunts. I realize that there are some organizations that feel other organizations, quote unquote, steal ideas from them. One of the things I've learned in working with multiple organizations at multiple times is there are no original ideas. There's just great execution. There's just trying to find different ways to put these ideas together. I'm always fascinated by people who will come up to me and say, Scott, I've got the best new idea. No one's ever done this before. And they'll explain something that I did, 10 years ago. And it's not that I did it. That's not the point, is that was done 10 years ago. And, these ideas keep coming back. So put competition on the sidelines during the trade show and find those people that are fun to be with and tell stories and tell war stories and show your new tattoos and show your new battle scars that happened in the last season, because everybody has them and everybody has those stories. Every haunt actor I know will go, yeah, and then this happened to me right here on my elbow when X, Y, and Z happened last season. I got stuck in a drop door. We all have those, and they're fine. They're great stories to tell. But make friends, because I will tell you, in networking situations or in any business situation, it is far more impactful in the long run to make friends than to make connections. So instead of thinking about just passing out your business card like you're dealing a hand of poker, take some time to get to know people. Take some time to get to know people and make new connections that are friends first and potential business associates later. So that's kind of the whole shebang. I realize I was kind of rambling, but like I said, I'm working on projects right up until the day before, and then I immediately go back into another project the day after the show. But I will be in St. Louis. I'm checking my calendar one more time. I will be in St. Louis from the 16th through I leave on the morning of the 20th. And there are some very specific places you can see me at very specific times. If you're there on Thursday, the 17th, I am teaching 2 different seminars. At 11:30, I am teaching Capturing Christmas Spirit, which is a workshop / presentation / seminar that's all about trying to find the right Christmas event for organizations or companies that want to start doing a Christmas event who have never done anything like it. And it will be in room 121. So please make sure you register for that. Then immediately following that at 12:45, I'll be doing sort of a unique class. It's called Turning the Page from Halloween to Christmas. And this is designed specifically for companies that are doing Halloween events and want to branch out. They want to expand into the Christmas market. And we will talk, especially in that class, we'll ask a lot of questions to help you find the right way to do that for you, which include, who is your target market? It includes what are your assets? It includes, do you want to extend the Halloween season, or do you want to reach out to a completely different demographic, a completely different audience for the Christmas season? And we'll talk through some really good case studies, some of them that I was involved with and some that I wasn't. And that will be in room 132. So if that sounds of interest to you, please make sure you register for that. And then because, like I said, Haunted Attraction Network does have has a booth on the show floor. It's booth 1903, so 1903. It was a very good year. No, I was not alive then. So stop making the age jokes. Leave that to me. I admit it. I'm old. But I will be at that booth on Thursday as well, right after my second seminar. So basically from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I'll be there. So if you are if you're at the show, please stop by and say hi at the Haunted Attraction Network. And if you have any of my books, or want to, if you have any of my books, please bring them. I'll be happy to sign them for you. And if you don't and would like to order them, I will have stickers that I can sign as well. So you can order them online. And if you're looking for how to order them and you're listening, just go to scottswenson.com, click on books, and the links are there for everything that I've ever written. But the ones that I'll be specifically focusing on are the ones that I did through Haunted Attraction Network and Philip Hernandez, which is Follow the Story and the 13 Commandments of Haunting. So that's Thursday from 2 to 3. I'll be there, and I'll be at the booth other times as well, but that's when I know I'll be there. And then I am also hosting the Oscars for the Haunted Attraction Association. And so I'll be at that event. And then, like I said, I've left. There's a couple parties that I'm going to, and I have a couple of meetings that I have lined up. But other than that, I will be wandering the trade show floor. If you see me, if you know what I look like or recognize me, please come up and say hi. Don't feel bad about interrupting a discussion. Anybody who listens or watches this show, I'd love to meet you. I'd love to hear more about what you do. In fact, I've got one friend of mine who I only really see at these trade shows and said, I need your help, Scott. Can I buy you lunch? So I'm going to, grab a nosh with people. I just want people to come up and say hi. So if you see me, come up and say hi. And if I see you and I recognize you, I will come over and say hi as well. All right. I guess that's all I want to say about the show. Like I said, I will record things at the show itself, and that will be coming up in a future episode. But this has been all about preparing for a trade show, and specifically the Trans World shows. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed it. And until next time, this is Scott Swenson saying, rest in peace.